I'm Yixin. It's an honor to be part of the workshop to share our latest observations on the MEV market and maybe highlight some issues we want to emphasize. In this presentation, we will start from the Curve Vyper case to explore the interconnected nature of the security events and MEV market. I will demonstrate how these events can trigger a cascade of market fluctuations and also a furious competition among the MEV bots. My hope is to provide you with another viewpoint on understanding the current state of DeFi, maybe with the lens of data analysis. So let's start with the story. I think most experts and scholars here today are familiar with the attack incidents that occurred on Curve Finance a couple of months ago. So back on July 30th, 4 Curve pools suffered a major loss and over $47 million just gone. But I think this was quite different from the usual issues we may hear about with DeFi protocols. It all started because of a problem in a tool called Vyper, which was used to create smart contracts. So DeFi relies on various kinds of smart contracts, and when a tool like Vyper has a problem, it can cause issues in many places rather than in a single faulty protocol. So you see the problem can be really serious. But what's interesting to me is that as far as I know, someone had already warned the protocol's core team about the potential for a follow-up attack beforehand, giving them a roughly 2-hour window to respond. But finally, they unfortunately couldn't stop the attack targeting on more pools. And this situation highlights a significant difference in power between people who are managing these DeFi protocols and those who actively participate in DeFi. And here I think the ability to keep an eye on market information and have strong computational skills is really important. But when you try to get all the facts from news sources, things don't seem as clear as they first appear. The news reported that Curve had a 17 million problem, but it also said that they have managed to control the situation. However, we don't really know how much damage was actually stopped. Does just releasing a new statement like this cover everything? I don't know. It also seems that nobody really cares. But here today, I'd like to dig it deeper into the story behind this news and uncover some details that might not be immediately obvious. So here is the first transaction I want to show you. After the attack, something remarkable happened. A massive arbitrage opportunity arose, and it was caught by someone called Coffee Babe. She made a profit of over $5 million from this single transaction, and it was completely legal. No tricks involved. What she did was simply buy CRV from Uniswap and then sell it at Curve. But you need a really keen awareness to spot this hidden arbitrage opportunity here. I won't go into the details about this, but if you are interested, you can check out an article we've published on the Substack. What I want to emphasize here is that Coffee Babe's deep understanding of these DeFi protocols and a quicker response to the market information actually allowed her to outperform her competitors and seized this opportunity. I would say this transaction is set to go down in history as one of the most profitable arbitrage deals ever. And by the way, in the last year, the most profitable arbitrage was a simple spatial arbitrage that was backrunning the Nomad bridge exploit. So you see in these black days during attacks, there are a lot of opportunities for bots to make a fortune. And what adds a touch of drama to this story is that Coffee Babe eventually returned the entire $5 million back to Curve Finance, effectively conducting a white-hat operation and helping to recover a significant loss for Curve. And she was also attributed with having done similar acts before. So at this stage, I like to take a break and make a short summary. I want to emphasize two key points. First, as I just pointed out earlier, this situation highlights a star power difference between those managing these protocols and those actively participating in DeFi. Second, it is important to note that not all MEV is malicious. While some bots take advantage of the DeFi users, such as sandwich bots, others, like Coffee Baby in this case, actually help. And all of this make us think that regardless of the ownership, the ability to monitor market information and possess strong computational skills is actually a crucial weapon that may affect the DeFi ecosystem's development and safety. And on the other hand, attackers and MEV bots actually can shed light on how smart contracts can be utilized and composed, effectively providing an auditing service to protocols or providing some kind of expensive experiments for us to locate the problems and design better ones. What I believe was that without the fire, there can't be a better shield to protect and enhance the protocols. So next, let's delve into the data. While Coffee Babe grabbed the most profitable arbitrage in the exploit, other MEV bots were also busy in making money. This exploit has actually sparked an intense competition between these arbitrage bots, and we can call it a liquidity scramble. And in this scramble, there was over $12.8 million in arbitrage revenue available for extraction in a single day. Even after excluding the largest single transaction executed by Coffee Babe, the remaining part, which was about $7.5 million, was still far surpassing the sandwich revenue on that day, and also surpassing the typical daily average of arbitrage revenue. And this abnormal phenomenon, compared to past observations during normal days, underscored the extraordinary scale of potential profits in this MEV market. And let's also take a look at these bubble charts. The left panel illustrates the distribution of MEV paid by these bots to builders, and the right panel shows the distribution of profits these bots earned on the day of the exploit. It's evident that the most profitable transactions were concentrated around the times of corporate tax, and a single transaction's MEV payment to a builder can reach up to $1 million. So in this extreme market volatility and intense competition among bots, the scale of bribes builders can receive is difficult to estimate, which implies that transaction sequencing on Ethereum can be easily influenced by significant scale of MEV incentives. And a further analysis of this data will also show that the fastest and highest earning arbitrage transactions mostly happened either in the same block as the attack transactions, or in the block directly after that. So you can see the competition is really furious. So suppose you are in such a fast-paced environment, what will you do? We see that the bots need to act within seconds to make the most of these opportunities. So the key question turns out to be, given an opportunity like the Vyper exploit, how can arbitrage bots most swiftly and completely capture the available profits? This question actually also led us to discover several interesting and representative bots, which I will introduce in the following slides. Let's look at some of the bots I mentioned. We've actually created a map to showcase the bot strategies, where each row stands for a transaction and each column represents a different pool of assets. And this map can give us a clear picture of competition among MEV bots. For example, let's start from transaction 5, which corresponds to the attack transaction by the first front-run attacker, targeting the first exploited curve pool. And the second column represents this exploited pool. And the transaction next to it was executed by bot 1, the blue one. We call it a Lightning Reflex Bot because it was quick enough to capture the first and most profitable arbitrage opportunity after the attack and earned roughly $300,000 as a profit after paying about 50% of its revenue to the builder. But bot 2, although it had conducted a similar arbitrage at the exploited pool before the attack, it failed in competition with bot 2 to capture the first arbitrage after the attack. And bot 3 captured the second arbitrage opportunity at the exploited pool, but this bot only earned about $400, which is rather small compared to bot 1. So you see in this arena, the profit distribution was also very imbalanced. I also want to introduce to you bot 4, which was a smart guy. Bot 4 did not conduct an arbitrage directly at the exploited pool, but it was able to detect a long-tail arbitrage and backrunning bot 1's transaction, which made $1,500. I think it is quite another strategy to make a profit. So you see, by examining all these bots' behavior involved in these highly correlated arbitrage transactions before and immediately after the attack transaction, we can gain insights into the strategies and capabilities needed to capitalize on the volatile windows. And in this case, it is clear that bot 1 was quick enough to capture the initial high value arbitrage after the attack, but its ability to capitalize on successive opportunities appears less sophisticated compared to bot 4. And we can also apply the same analysis method to a more complex scenario. Here's another pool that was exploited, and the first column represents this exploited curve pool. We can see that before the attack, it was already a highly active trading area. Some bots were performing triangle arbitrages across 3 pools, and others engaging in spatial arbitrage across 2 pools. There was also a sandwich trade targeting 3 interconnected pools. But after the attack, we observed a dense cluster of several arbitrage transactions. Here, in this case, bot 2, the green one, was no longer the slow guy and captured the first post-exploit arbitrage opportunity. But bot 5, the blue ones here, stood out with a new strategy. It backran bot 2's transaction and executed 9 subsequent arbitrages over the adjacent 2 blocks. We refer to this bot as a sweeper bot because it was able to extract the remaining arbitrage value that bot 2's initial transaction failed to fully capitalize on. And furthermore, we notice that bot 5 would like to execute several duplicate transactions, which means that it also employed a transaction splitting strategy to enhance its background success rate. And a deeper analysis also helped us find that bot 5 was associated with Payload builder, which explains that why he can see and background other bots' transactions. Here is a trick, which means that not all transactions is visible to the public. Some transactions will be landed on chain through private channels or through MEV bundles that were directly sent to builders. So builders right now not only have the power to sequence the transactions in a block, but also have the privilege to see a portion of transactions that are otherwise invisible to others. I think this lack of full transparency gives builder power that ordinary users do not have. And maybe some stakeholders may pay some attention to this. And another thing I want to emphasize is that there's obvious an advantage for this searcher builder integration compared to solo searchers such as bot 2. So you can see bot 5 can easily execute multiple arbitrages in a single slot and see other bots' transactions. Of course, there are many other bots in this arena. For example, bot 4 again demonstrated an exceptional ability to locate a long-tail arbitrage opportunity across 6 pools, even covering pools that other bots couldn't detect. And in a whole, you can see that most of the actions concentrated just a few pools on the left, while other pools had only one or two bots involved. So the situation I want to show you here is that it is quite intricate, and it's challenging for an individual to monitor all these MEV players, especially when we found the fact that these MEV bots are rapidly evolving. And that's all led us to the end of the story. In summary, during times of extreme market turbulence, transactions become increasingly complex and intricate. You see that these bots are required to engage with multiple pools and quickly respond to signals using various trading strategies in order to maximize their gains. And on the other hand, for researchers, protocol designers, and regulators in the crypto landscape, understanding these complex transaction connections become crucial yet challenging, especially during such volatile periods. The interesting part is that attackers and MEV bots may shed light on how smart contracts can be utilized and composed, effectively providing us an auditing service to protocols. And those who can monitor market information and possess strong computational skills significantly impact the development and the safety of the DeFi ecosystem. And before we dive into solving the issues that exploits and MEV trades may bring to DeFi or Ethereum, we strongly recommend that we gain a comprehensive understanding of the current situations. I think this will better equip us to devise the right solution. Finally, let me introduce EigenPhi a little. We are like a satellite observing the MEV battlefield. If you visit EtherScan, you will see that all MEV transactions are categorized by us. We keep a watchful eye on all the players in this arena and provide valuable insights to others. And in the past years, we have done a lot of data analysis and research on the DeFi protocols. I'd like to welcome everyone to stay tuned to our latest releases. That's all. Thanks for your time. Thanks. Bye-bye.